Hi guys. So, there's a lot to get to here. I want to go over the April 3rd court hearing and identify any new information or legal strategies. I'll also cover some recent developments that could impact the case. I'll touch on NewJeans' upcoming injunction objection hearing as well. Not a lawyer, by the way, just a girlie with opinions. First things first, the judge gave a recap of events leading up to NewJeans declaring their contracts terminated. He pointed out how NewJeans planned their termination press conference before the 14-day grace period had elapsed. Right off the bat, there's questions about whether this completely invalidates their termination notice. The judge makes it clear that the burden is on NewJeans to prove that their contracts were lawfully terminated. Refusing to initiate legal proceedings did not absolve them of this responsibility. I have explained this in the past that contracts are assumed valid until proven otherwise under South Korean precedent. NewJeans didn't really achieve anything by delaying the inevitable. I also told you guys that a settlement would be ideal for both sides, which the judge even acknowledged. He encouraged mediation, which I predicted ADOR would be open to. Some of you were confused by this since the company has a strong case, but the reality is no one likes litigation and nothing is guaranteed in court. If a favorable agreement can be reached outside of court, then that's likely to happen in a civil suit. As I also suspected, NewJeans are the ones not currently open to this. Their given reason was the poor mental state of the members, which is understandable. I do have my own theory, though, which I explained in a community post. If the girls agree to settle, it will likely be under better circumstances for them PR-wise. I won't rehash most of what was covered in the injunction, but we did get a follow-up to the complex con performance. ADOR called it regrettable that the members went forward with the show using the NJZ name despite the court ruling. On the flip side, though, they cited the success of the event as evidence that NewJeans can indeed exist without Min Hee-jin. A big part of NewJeans' case hinges on Min Hee-jin being essential for the group to succeed. However, ADOR is under the impression that she wasn't involved in the complex con performance, which contradicts this sentiment. We didn't get a direct rebuttal to this, and for good reason. NewJeans' side would have had to concede this point or admit Min Hee-jin was involved, which plays back into ADOR's tampering narrative. Instead, NewJeans' legal team accused the company of being insincere in their promise to find production alternatives. There was a lack of communication regarding this, and 7 months passed without any alternatives established. This will likely be tied back to HYBE telling the girls they would be given an extended vacation while a Grammy-winning producer is procured. They interpreted this as an attempt to end their careers and demanded the reinstatement of Min Hee-jin as CEO. ADOR made it clear that not only were they fully capable of finding alternative production, they even tried retaining Min Hee-jin's production services, but she refused. It's not fair to hold the company solely responsible for the production halt when the members refused dialogue about the issue. Min Hee-jin refused to cooperate unless reinstated as CEO, and the court acknowledged this led to the production stall. She then quit the company, and NewJeans followed soon after without giving them time to source alternatives. NewJeans' side insists that Min Hee-jin did not quit. She was ousted. Not just her. ADOR's original management was completely replaced. The new regime of HYBE officials hold different values, and the agency transformed into a new company. There is no trust between the current ADOR and the members of NewJeans. Therefore, they can no longer work together. Even if there is no specific breach in each of their termination reasons, they should still paint a picture of broken trust in totality. Now, this is a slight shift in legal strategy on both sides. An injunction can't force NewJeans to work for the company, and that's something I highlighted as a reason it wouldn't be fully granted. As we know, it did get fully granted, but the girls still refused to work with ADOR and put themselves on hiatus. This created the perfect moment for the company to shift toward the next phase in their case, compensation. Instead of trying to get the girls back, they are now laying the groundwork to claim damages from them. They'll look less vicious for doing so because they took every possible measure to restore the relationship with the girls. Not even a court order could get them to cooperate, and ADOR can use this to paint them as unruly. HYBE's CEO is correct. This disciplined approach has worked and is still working. Never interrupt your opponent when they are making a mistake, and ADOR chose to sit back and let NewJeans make mistakes. This was a masterclass in passive aggression, and that's something I told you guys HYBE is really good at. NewJeans' legal shift takes the sole focus off Min Hee-jin and spreads it more evenly. I was going to suggest the girls not show up to this hearing, and I'm glad they didn't. Their statements during the injunction case basically admitted they left ADOR to be with Min Hee-jin. Obviously, this is not a sound legal reason for terminating a contract, and it undermined their case. They should do what Min Hee-jin has been doing for months at this point and lay low. By the way, Min Hee-jin did, in fact, quit the company. I mean, she literally gloated about it on Instagram the day she resigned. She lost her position as CEO, but her seat on the board was renewed, and the company was actively trying to negotiate a creative director contract with her. As ADOR stated, she refused because she wanted that CEO spot, which should have demonstrated to the members and fans where her priorities were. I didn't have a channel at the time, but her not accepting that compromise basically confirmed to me her motives were selfish. Anyway, the judge cites the injunction ruling, which states that ADOR is more than capable of finding new producers, despite Min Hee-jin's fierce conflict with HYBE. As ADOR stated in the injunction hearing, NewJeans' termination reasons do not feature any of the standard accepted reasons for terminating exclusive contracts. The judge agrees with this and straight up calls the case bizarre. The girls debuted, they've been promoted successfully, they've been paid well, they raked in all the perks that those who seek to terminate their contracts have not. Basically, the court wants to know what breach of trust means to NewJeans in this case. Are you saying you don't trust the company to distribute settlements fairly? Are you saying you don't trust the company to promote you successfully? Are you saying you don't trust the company to support your activities? It's beginning to sound like that last one, since their legal team is casting doubt on ADOR's willingness to secure a new producer. If NewJeans insist on pursuing this case, the judge vows to hear them out and try his hardest to see where they are coming from. This was a very professional and oh so polite way of saying you girls have no case. I mean, it's up for interpretation, of course, but there's a reason the judge encouraged them to settle. First of all, their termination notice may be voided off the rip because they didn't adhere to the 14-day grace period correctly. Secondly, they lost the injunction on all fronts but proceeded with independent activities anyway. Although they slightly tweaked their approach, the judge still isn't buying what they are selling. Credit where it's due, painting ADOR as a transformed company due to an overhaul in management is a more coherent approach than crying about your sixth member. The problem is, they are still hitting up against the wall of precedent, and a judge is unlikely to rule that CEO changes invalidate contracts. NewJeans are not members of the board. ADOR has no obligation to consult the girls about a corporate business decision like CEO changes. They did their jobs by trying to retain Min Hee-jin in a creative capacity, but she quit, and the girls refused dialogue about alternatives. What this clearly boils down to is these young women being codependent on a music executive with her own interests. This will turn into a commentary video if I get to ranting about Min Hee-jin's manipulation of these girls, so let's move on. During an interview with BBC News Korea, Honey mentioned that they were uncomfortable with constantly bringing up issues that involve other teams. It was never their intention to affect those teams negatively, they just wanted to share how they were thinking and feeling. Now, whether you buy this or not, I think it's smart. I said they should do this in my injunction ruling analysis because the issues related to ILIT, especially, are not enough to terminate their contracts. All it's done for them at this point is create public backlash, so they should just drop it. They've seemingly done that, as the April 3rd court hearing places zero emphasis on those points. The court will hear their objection to the injunction ruling on April 9th, but it seems they already anticipate it being rejected. Their goal is to get to the appeal stage that comes after that. The objection will be heard by the same judge, but an appeal can be escalated all the way to the Supreme Court. If Team Bunny's statement is to be believed, they aim to have a ruling on the appeal by late May or early June. They're seemingly more focused on overturning the injunction that they are on actually winning the lawsuit. There is a lot of speculation about why this is, and of course I have my own theories like everyone. I don't think they have a new agency, or at least not officially. They will probably seek to join whatever agency Min Hee-jin starts up if she ever gets that chance again. They will not win the overall case, and they are smart enough to know that by now. Danielle pretty much said they don't care about the penalty fees, they just want out. and are determined to abandon their contracts regardless of the consequences. Next, let's talk about family. No, I don't mean Min Hee-jin. She is not their mother, no matter how many shirts they wear with her face on it. I mean their actual mothers, because there's been a reported riff amongst their parents. One of the group's minor members is currently represented by her mother, who actually won parental authority from her father in family court. Yes, her parents ended up in family court over this issue because the father was not in favor of terminating the ADOR contract. In the end, a judge decided that the mom would be given sole authority to proceed with litigation in agreement with her daughter. The parents released a statement regarding these reports, and they outright deny that these rumors are related to HYBE. Despite its ties to the lawsuit, I would implore you guys not to pry too much into such a personal dispute. I just hope that this member's family situation is healthy and happy. The last thing I want to cover is what used to be the NJZ Instagram and PR accounts. All content is now deleted from both pages, and their names have been changed to the members' first initials. This could be to comply with the injunction, since posting to these accounts does actually violate the court ruling. It could be them parting ways with the NJZ name, because that was always a trademark lawsuit waiting to happen. It could also be them scrubbing away anything ADOR can use in court against them, who knows. It's quite ominous though, I must say. I'm intrigued to know what they're planning behind the scenes. I'll be frank though, the damage is done, and this won't save them from having to compensate ADOR if the company does sue for trademark infringement. That's really it. I'll tie up any loose ends via the community tab. If you guys have questions, I'll answer in the comments or in a future video. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.